Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host, Maqbool, with you at PTV World. In today's show, we're going to be taking a look at the future of Pakistan and, of course, the much-awaited decision with reference to the formation of government, something, of course, that we have been keeping a close eye on since the 8th of February, since the date of the elections. And so we're going to try and see what is going to unfold now that the announcement has come forward by the coalition that includes, of course, the PPP, the PMLN and other political parties that have joined together to support the PMLN's prime ministerial candidate, Mr. Shahbaz Sharif, and then of course the alliance has also put forward the name of Mr. Asif Ali Zardari as the President of Pakistan. The Assembly is going to be convening on the 29th of February, so we'll be seeing what sort of aspects will be taken up by these political parties, especially with regards to the decision of who it is that is going to be taking the top positions of the government. We don't know the details of this agreement as yet and what exactly has been decided with regards to the PPP and their involvement within the government, and we're going to try and explore that in further detail with our guest today in the show as well to see what exactly is the outcome of these negotiations, which have finally concluded and have also been successful in the coalition moving forward. At the same time, we of course know that the opposition coming in from PTI stands there as well, with of course allegations of rigging that were in the background that PTI has been speaking about, along with other parties including the JUIF, and then of course the fact that what the PTI is now calling this coalition as mandate thieves, which is something that they have also spoken out previously. But how much of an impact that is going to have in terms of the role that they're going to be playing in the parliament, particularly after joining hands with Sunni Ittihad Council, and how exactly will that unfold in the parliament? What's of course important is that how these political parties are going to be sitting together to discuss important challenges that the government faces, which of course are not limited to, but of course include the very challenging economic times that the country has been going through, and then of course further negotiations with the IMF and then the upcoming budget, and then of course the kind of security challenges, particularly in terms of the rise in terrorist activities in the country and managing of course relationships in the neighborhood, particularly with regards to counterterrorism activities, and then of course with reference to foreign policy as a whole as well, in terms of what Pakistan is going to be putting forward. There are a lot of concerns in terms of what Pakistan is going to be deciding, especially with regards to the governance at home, and then of course its relations with other countries. And so we're going to see and explore the challenges that this government faces and exactly how they're going to be resolved when the different political parties that are going to be sitting in the parliament previously have not been able to engage with each other or reach a political consensus. How exactly is that going to unfold, and who is going to be playing the role of an important and responsible opposition? That is of course something that is also in the future and remains to be seen. For this and more, as always, in the studios I've been joined by senior analyst Farrukh Pitafi and Raja Faisal. We've also been joined online, and we will be shortly joined by Mr. Zulfikar Ali Bader, who's leader PPP, and Mr. Daniyal Sheikh, who's a political analyst, and we'll be getting more input from them in terms of what has been going on and what sort of agreement has been reached with reference to the government formation. But Farrukh, in terms of what we have seen so far and the news that we have so far, especially with regards to what lies ahead, there seems to be some sort of agreement with how exactly the power is going to be shared and what sort of important roles both the political parties are going to be playing along with other coalition partners. What does this mean, particularly in terms of how strong this government is going to be, and how that is going to then also unfold in terms of the parliament, and then of course the top positions of the cabinet?
Right, Sana, thank you very much for the question. Once again, let me remind everybody that health-wise I'm still not out of the woods yet, so I can cough anytime and while answering your question. But I will try to answer it as much as I can. Regarding this, coalition formation, day before yesterday, when I last appeared in this program, in the end I told you that everything has been agreed upon, and it is only a matter of announcement. And the political parties deferred these decisions because of the dramatic effect. So they achieved that last night, late night. They announced that they are going to actually form the government. What was new in it? Because last time we remember that at Chaudhry Shujat's place, most of these leaders actually sat together, announced that they are going to form the government.
Yeah.
At that time, the biggest question was that where is Bilawal Bhutto Zardari? He wasn't there. And we have been hearing very tough statements coming from him. So the new thing about last night's protester was that Bilawal was also sitting there, and he announced both the prime ministerial candidate and the presidential candidate.
Does that point to a change in stance?
It actually shows that there is some thought, right? And I understand that the young man has actually explored his own dynamics, his own capacity of oratory and conversing, and because he was dismayed by the way caretaker government was formed, and People's Party was actually cut out of the process. After that, we saw a toughening stance. So I think that there has been some kind of back and forth, and after that, ice has melted, right? Now we have to actually talk about what kind of government that is going to be. There are known knowns and there are unknown knowns, right? And then there are unknown unknowns. Let us begin by talking about known knowns. Right? The first one is, of course, the Prime Minister is going to be Shahbaz Sharif, President is going to be Asif Ali Zardari. In Balochistan, the government is being formed by the coalition, but People's Party gets to pick the Chief Minister. In Sindh, of course, we know that it is People's Party that will pick the CM. Yeah. In Punjab, we already know that Maryam Nawaz is going to form the government, and she has actually hit the ground running. Today she actually spoke as well. Later in the program we are going to talk about that as well, because it was a good start. And now, what we don't know, we still don't know whether People's Party officially is going to be a part of cabinet or not. And that is because Bilawal thinks that after what PDM had to go through, and because PMLN has its own baggage, he does not want to share that baggage. My humble submission, because you earlier asked whether this government is going to be stable or not, my humble submission is that this government is going to be exactly as stable as PDM government for 16 months, right? Like it was in 16 months. So whether People's Party joins the cabinet or not, I don't think that there is going to be any threat to the coalition from People's Party. Okay. And that I can assure you. It can be a challenge. Challenge can come from PDM or Sunni Ittihad or whatever it is called now. But excuse me. But apart from that, I don't think that there is going to be a serious challenge coming from the coalition partners. So now governors are also decided that in Sindh PMLN is going to nominate, in Balochistan PMLN will nominate, and in Punjab it is People's Party who is going to actually nominate the governor. Okay. With that, Chairman Senate and Speaker National Assembly. Now we are told that Speaker National Assembly seat is going to go to PMLN. We still have to wait and see. And Chairman Senate is going to go to People's Party, but CM Balochistan, the candidate there is already sitting in the seat. Whether the party changes or anything, he is going to be there. So it is not essentially People's Party's nominee, he is there.
Right, and Faisal, with reference to the PPP's role, we of course heard from Mr. Bilawal just a day or two earlier that there's going to be no change in his stance, and that if there is any change, it's going to be from the other party, and that otherwise the country is going towards a stalemate. And now, of course, we've seen him part of the presser, and it's unclear whether or not there has been, in fact, a change in stance. But what do you think will be the possible agreement? And hopefully we'll be able to talk to a PPP leader as well. But in your opinion, something must have changed for this agreement to have happened. What could it be?
Well, Sana, obviously, if we look at People's Party's stance, I mean, internally, the people I have been in touch with from within the party itself, they were of the view that, of course, there is a clear rift between father and son in the party, and obviously, future President Asif Ali Zardari was of the view that they should be having a coalition, same like PDM coalition, the 16-month government we saw. They wanted that, but of course, if we talk about Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, his point of view was entirely different. He did not want to be part of it. Rather, he kept on emphasizing on this factor that the people who got the most of the seats, the party, I mean, so apparently it is not a party, but of course it is on the on the face of it, everyone knew that who they were and who was behind them, and of course PTI was backing all of these independent candidates. So this is, and for the sake of democracy, for the sake of democratic ethics, which is People's Party always known for, People's Party obviously Bilawal Bhutto Zardari wanted to be part of, rather to be part of them independence and form the government. But of course we know that they tried to get in touch with somebody sitting in the prison, but they could not go through, and obviously this...
You're telling us that Bilawal actually visited Daniyal?
No, not visited, but obviously there are people who actually come and go.
Yeah, but there are all speculations.
To take the, obviously take the initiative. They did try to do it, but of course it did not take place. And the most important thing which Farrukh Bhai did not mention was the governor of KPK. Now we will see that People's Party would be having their governor in KPK. And
I wasn't sure about KPK, that's why I didn't mention.
They will be having, and I think to me, apparently it feels as if that People's Party, rather than going straight away towards what Asif Ali Zardari was seeking, and that was the clear sitting with the government and sitting in the cabinet as well. Rather than that, and rather than what Bilawal Bhutto Zardari was seeking, now they have done right in the middle. They are staying in the middle lane. They are being part of the government. They are being part of the coalition, but at the same time they don't want to be part of the cabinet. And
this is what they said earlier as well, but I just want to understand whether that has changed.
They want to play as a buffer zone between obviously PTI and PMLN. Why I say this? Buffer zone in a way that we will be seeing the People's Party, any policies which are being brought by the government, which are there are protests against them policies. In them, of course, we will see that People's Party would be sending the statements. We will see Bilawal Bhutto Zardari issuing statements which would be in the favor of people, and he would be constantly speaking for the people we know.
Right, but what earlier you were saying, Faisal, with reference to Adiala jail, do you think that and correct me if I'm wrong in terms of your opinion, do you think that the PPP tried to approach the PTI and failed, and this is why they've been part of this coalition and they've agreed to have this presser?
They certainly did. According to my sources, their first priority was actually to go towards them. And this is what they wanted to do.
They went during these negotiations.
Yeah,
so
because
between the previous presser and this presser.
Yeah, what it is that they actually were of the view, under the obviously leadership of Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, what they wanted to do was to honor the mandate which is actually widely given throughout Pakistan, and they believe that the mandate which is given in KPK to a single party, that is remarkable, and they believe that that should be honored.
Okay, I'm happy that we've been joined by Zulfikar Ali Bader Saab by the PPP as well, and Zulfikar Saab, I'm hoping that you also heard our discussion earlier, because I want your take on it. Of course, we're talking about your party, and so you'd be the best person to actually give us more insight into what is going on, and let us know whether what we're thinking is what the party is thinking as well or not. But my first question, before we move on to what Faisal was saying, is with regards to any insight that you can give as to what has been agreed in terms of the formation of government, especially with regards to the stance that Mr. Bilawal Bhutto had of not being part of the cabinet. Has there been any change in that?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Sana, for inviting me to your show, and my regards to Pitafi Saab and Raja Faisal Saab. And you have actually asked too many questions, and I want to,
I just asked one so far.
Yeah, but there were like so many other comments from Raja Faisal Saab and Pitafi Saab. So I just want to,
take your time.
Address every one of them one by one.
Go
So
ahead.
your question is about the insight. Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, right from the beginning, were of the opinion that we want to have our own majority, simple majority, and we want to be the party who is going to implement our manifesto once we'll be given a chance by the people to come in the government. And unfortunately, we were not able to get that many of the seats, and we had two other parties, PMLN and PTI, who got more numbers than us. And the number one was the independence of PTI, and then the PMLN. And then the chairman of the parties was of the opinion that we should give, support to any of the party whosoever is come and ask for the help and for the vote. And the initiative was taken by the PMLN leadership, and Mr. Shabazz Sharif Sah was, he called the President Asif Ali Zardari Sahab, and he came over to the Bilawal House Lahore, and he seeks his support. And at that time, he mentioned that we are going to go to the ECC and we'll discuss it with our party members, the members of the Central Executive Committee, and we'll get back to you. At that time, whatever the consensus was built, there were like different opinions from different leaders, but whatever the consensus was built, the majority of the people said we should support the parliamentary system and we should support the democratic process. And once the elections have held, though we have a lot of reservations on the results of the elections, but still we should support whoever is able to make the government. So at that time, PMLN had seek support from PPP. So they said, okay, we are going to give vote to PMLN to take the lead, to bring their own prime minister and bring their own cabinet members. And we are not going to be a part of cabinet. So this was decided right at the beginning. So since that day when this was decided till today, this stance is very clear that we are going to support the PMLN leadership to elect their leader of the house, to bring their own cabinet members of their own choice. And PPP is not at all being, disturbing them to bring any of the cabinet members from PPP, because People's Party leadership have decided that we are not going to be a part and parcel of the cabinet. So this was decided, and this is going to be the decision of the chairman, Pakistan People's Party,
Only
which is
federal
being
cabinet,
respected and appreciated.
only federal cabinet or Punjab cabinet also, sir?
So both the cabinets. We are not going to be part of both the cabinets. So we are going to form the government in Sindh government, and Balochistan we are going to have our own chief minister. And last night there was a concluding, negotiation between both the parties to come close and conclude all the matters which were prolonging for last few days. So it was decided by the PMLN leadership, though, that we are going to have a prime minister from PMLN. So we want to suggest, and Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari Saab
Right,
also
Zulfikar Sahab, I want to
nominated
understand
Mr.
one
No,
thing.
no,
Asif Ali
This is
Zardari
something,
as
Zulfikar Sahab,
president
this
of
is something that we
Pakistan.
saw in the previous presser as well. I want to understand something, especially with regards to what we saw in the previous presser. The coalition obviously was expressed then as well. The prime ministerial candidate was there, the presidential candidate was there. And I understand officially Mr. Bilawal has spoken about it last night, but this was something that was also present in the previous presser. What has happened in these numerous round of talks? What really is the issue then that has been discussed if the stance of the federal cabinet is still as it is, as it was? Where was the disagreement? Where was the possibility of stalemates that Mr. Bilawal pointed towards? And then what has changed now for this agreement to take place?
What are you calling a breakthrough? Because last night was a breakthrough, right? So what exactly constitutes that breakthrough?
You see, in the last presser last night, the leadership of both the parties, they mentioned that we have settled all the things, and we have just announced the candidate for the prime ministership, which is Mr. Shabazz Sharif, and thankful to PMLN for supporting the candidate for presidentship, which is from PPP, Mr. Asif Ali Zardari. And rest of the things have been settled down, but we'll announce it later. So I think I'll appreciate if let the leaders of both the parties will announce. So I
Right,
think
of
we
course.
should have that kind of patience, to cause and the breakthrough was that there were one or two issues that PMLN was pushing, that People's Party should be, should get that thing, and uh, People's Party was seeking one of the important things, but they both agreed.
Is that
Okay,
important thing, Foreign Office,
No, no,
Foreign Ministry?
it's very cryptic answer, by the way. You are saying that they were demanding one thing and they were pushing the other thing. So can we know what those things were?
sir, I've already mentioned that
It's okay, Zulfikar sir. We're not going to test you
leader
further
of the both
because
the parties,
you're speaking
let
like
the
a true
leaders.
political leader and you won't give us any insight. But let me also point towards what Faisal was talking about earlier, because there is a lot of concern with regards to the aspects between PTI and PPP. And of course, there are a number of reports, there's a number of speculations also. And it'd be great if you could also clarify a few things for us, especially in terms of what is being discussed as, and what Faisal has also said, that PTI perhaps was the first priority for the PPP. They actually did try to approach them as well to be able to go ahead with these negotiations as well. Whether or not that has happened, you can of course clarify it for us. And then also with regards to any possible role that this party can then be playing in the future in the parliament with bringing different parties together, particularly the PTI and PMLN.
You see, in my personal opinion, I tell you one thing which is very clear, that Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari had no priority to support any of the political party. So we were seeking our own, majority, and was looking forward to make our own government. Since the day election result came and we didn't get the majority, we were not in touch with any of the parties, and maybe some of the senior party members were suggesting at that particular point of time that we should get in touch, but our party leadership straightforwardly said that we don't want to get in touch with any of the political party until and unless some of the party leaders come and approach us, because it is their need to get votes from us, because Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari withdrew himself from the slot of prime ministership. He's like, I am not the candidature for prime ministership. So once that was given, so that means that People's Party had to support any of the political party. And we supported the only one party who approached us, who never approached us, and we were not in touch with them. So they, I mean, I don't know who was in touch with them. There was nobody from our party. Without this, consent of the party, nobody tried to get in touch with PTI independence or any. So I don't think there was anybody in touch with them.
Okay, Zulfikar Sahib, another question that I want to ask from you as a PPP representative is also, of course, with reference to what Mr. Bilawal keeps on emphasizing, that there will be support by the party in terms of the issues that the country faces and the challenges that it faces, and of course, without the key positions as part of the cabinet. And so I want to understand, particularly when it comes to issues, for example, such as the economic issues that we're dealing with, and the kind of circumstances that we've seen in our finance ministry, the kind of changes that have happened, and the kind of different ways that negotiations were underway with the IMF. What exactly will be the role played by PPP in such important matters? I want to understand if it's part of the coalition, of course, it's not in the opposition. How is it going to be supporting the PMLN on important issues such as these?
With your permission, Sana, allow me to add to this question. On one issue, Badr Saab, there is a clear difference between People's Party stance and PMLN's, and that is the privatization of state-owned enterprises like PIA. So on that position, are you going to support PMLN, or PMLN is going to follow your agenda?
Thank you, Pitafi sir, for asking me this question. So our party is very clear. So number one thing is that we are going to vote for the leader of the house. We are not going to be part of cabinet. We are not going to sit in cabinet. Number two, that we are going to vote for all the legit legislation which is going to happen within the House, and we are going to support the government in this way, that the government should stand on its term. And uh, Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari is of the opinion that during the last PDM government, there were a number of ministries holded by PPP and PMLN and other parties. So the leader of the cabinet, the leader of the house, the prime minister could not get the results, and we could not get the results what we wanted to implement due to number of reasons within the cabinet and because of the implementation of so many things. So the chairman of the party, Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, decided at this time that we'll just let the prime minister and let him choose the members of the cabinet on his own decision, and we are not going to interfere in the cabinet. Let him decide the policy matters, let him make his own strategy, and let him have the liberty of implementing all those things, internal challenges and external, and policy across the board. And coming back to these questions, that we have our own stance and we'll stick to our stance. Whether it's a privatization of any of the government organization, we won't let it happen. We are going to raise our voice, and this is not going to happen, though we will be supporting the government. But any of the things which is going to come up, that government is going to take up, People's Party is not going to support unless and until there is a mutual understanding or things are settled between, both the parties, and they take the party leadership in the confidence. But I personally feel that Mr. Bilawal Bhutto is not at all, uh, you know, will show his leniency in selling the privatization of the government organization to any of the things. But he is of the opinion, if you want to transform the organizational structures of the government organizations, uh, I think we should go for PPP, public-private partnership, and we should involve. So the government should have the ownership of the organization, and we can bring in the people from the private sector to transform. So
So
there
divestment,
can be.
not privatization. Divestment,
I
not privatization. Yeah.
I think I will say transformation, not privatization. So we will be focusing on the transformation rather than going for the
Right,
privatization.
Zulfikar Sahab,
Unless
earlier you also said that you're going to let the PMLN form the decisions and have the policy, and of course you have decided not to be part of the cabinet as well. May I also ask you why this decision has taken place, why the party has decided that they'll not be part of the cabinet, and what would you say and respond to when people say that perhaps this is safe play by the PPP, that they're trying to get away with any aspects of accountability in terms of decision making by the government, and would like to hold the key positions of presidency and the houses of the parliament, but not really be involved in anything that will question their performance.
And Zulfikar Sahab, allow me to add in this question. Obviously, there are few names which are circulating in terms of the interim setup. There is one name that is of obviously Finance Minister Dr. Shamshad. I mean, it is being heard that she can continue, and because her policies have been excellent in recent past, and the way she has been coordinating with IMF and dealing with the IMF, that was brilliant. So can it be possible that on these kind of decisions, if she is being part of the next cabinet as an advisor, will that be endorsed by People's Party, or will there be some names that are proposed by PMLN? Would your party be having any reservations on them names?
I don't think so that our party will have any reservation on any name, because this will be a call from the Prime Minister to be elected to select his own team members. If People's Party would have been a part of the cabinet, then they would have, seek any kind of reservation for any cabinet member. So I think that's a call from PMLN and their leadership. Whosoever wants to be a part of the cabinet, it's their call. Maybe if not one, maybe more than one or two members can continue. I mean, it's their call. We have got nothing to do with that thing, because we are not going to interfere in making or breaking the cabinet. And one thing which our
Not
party
even in the
leadership has
larger
decided.
interest of the people of Pakistan?
You see, I'm just coming back to that point because last PDM government, where People's Party ministers were sitting, and we were, uh, you know, uh, not being able, all the ministers were not being able to implement a lot of things, and because of that, we had a political damage. So the party leadership decided that this time they will let one party to take the lead and decide their policies and make their own strategies and implement them and choose their own cabinet members, so they have the onus, they have the burden of their own decision makings, and we are not going to be a part of that. So if we are going to make a government, we will be taking members on our own, not from other parties, because we will not be able to implement our manifesto. So this was the background behind this thought. So that's the reason a party leadership decided that we are not going to be a part of cabinet because of the last political damage. Because a lot of people in the cabinet were sitting from different political parties, and it was very difficult to implement all the agendas and things. And
Right.
we were being hijacked by a lot of the people who matter in the bureaucracy, sitting in the important positions, and things were being delayed from the bureaucratic point of view. And
Brother Saab, let
so
me
this,
actually give you a compliment.
Yeah.
I think that all your answers are very clever.
Yeah,
And
very,
I,
very
I
clever.
really must point this out. But sir, with due respect regarding the optics of not joining the cabinet, do you think that a minority government that actually gets the support from People's Party, but which has its own policies, can it survive for long without that? And if it cannot, then how do you actually propose that its impact or image is not going to affect People's Party either in coming days, because then everybody knows that it can't be in power without your support.
so one thing is very clear, Pitafi Sahab, that leader of the house and uh, running of the house, they are two important positions, uh, which is being, I think, taken by the PMLN. And People's Party was not at all interested in getting any of the constitutional positions. But later on, when the both the party leadership sat and they offered the presidentship, then being the president of the party is just a ceremonial position, and just to give them the
President
you
of the
know
country.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a ceremonial position. It does not have that power. The president of the Pakistan does not enjoy the power which is being enjoyed by the prime minister of Pakistan. Because
But he is
there
still
was a
commander in
time
chief.
when there was 58 2B. 58 2B was there when it was a very powerful position. But after the 18th Amendment, it's just a ceremonial position, just like the Republic of India. So the president of Pakistan can assent or dissent on different things, but the whole government is being run by the prime minister. So Pakistan People's Party is giving a strength support to PMLN to run the government affairs of the government for a time period of 5 years, unless and until they themselves want to come out of it and they could not handle, then the things are going to be different. But I hope that Mr. Shehbaz Sharif, who is an experienced man from the last 16 months, he will be able to run his cabinet and run the parliament and the affairs of the government successfully. And
Right.
People's Party is going to give them unconditional support without getting into any kind of ministries or any other
Okay.
demand from them.
Right. Let me also welcome in the debate Mr. Daniyal Sheikh, who's a political analyst. He's joined us on telephone line. Thank you, Daniyal, for joining us and being part of the debate. And we've been speaking to the PPP leader, Mr. Zulfikar, with reference to what the agreement has been about and, of course, what role PPP is going to be playing. And he has clarified for us that they will not be performing part of the cabinet. What do you make of this coalition then in terms of the way that the government will be formed and the role that these political parties will be able to play? And then, of course, especially within the parliament, what sort of aspects do you think need to be considered, where, of course, all these different political parties would have to talk to each other?
Thank you for having me, Sana. And as far as your question is concerned, I think Mr. Zulfikar has very well answered the reasoning and the logic behind it. And I think that People's Party has taken a stance which is very unprecedented in Pakistani politics. And they have, by choice, they're not becoming part of the federal government. And they want to give the authority of running the reins of the government to the Premier Shehbaz Sharif, which is, I think, unprecedented, and definitely it's larger than the usual political, the way the politicians in Pakistan have worked in the past. It's unprecedented, and I think it must be appreciated. And I believe it's definitely going to give Shehbaz Sharif a lot more space in implementing whatever policies he wants to implement. And secondly, the way he said that they're going to keep a check and balance, and as to their socialist policies are concerned, and that's I think it's an ideal scenario for Pakistan.
Right. How strong do you think this parliament is going to be, and what role will the PTI-backed candidates, and of course now the merger with the Sunni Ittihad Council, what role will they be playing in the parliament, and whether or not they will be engaging with these coalition partners?
At the moment, if you remember in your last show, the way Pitafi Saab said that, the reason why Shehbaz Sharif was thrown to, the reason why Shah Mahmood Qureshi was thrown to the gallows was because he was becoming a threat to the leadership of Imran Khan. So I don't think if Imran Khan is not in the lead role, he would want his party to be playing an effective role.
Designation, not gallows, brother. He hasn't gone to the gallows.
Almost there.
Right. But Daniyal, especially when we talk about the issues, and we were earlier also discussing this with Zulfikar Saab with reference to economy, of course, and then, of course, the issues of security in the country, foreign policy relations, all of these are important decision-making aspects that will be required. And we've always talked about the strength of the parliament and whether or not there is going to be a proper way of engaging by the parliamentarians that is needed, a proper responsible opposition that is needed. What exactly do you foresee then in terms of all of these challenges that the government faces? Will this setup be able to deal with them?
Well, after listening to Zulfikar Saab, yes, there's a lot more. There's a lot more optimism in my thoughts, and if the way People's Party has just taken this stance, definitely this is a great thing for Pakistan and the political situation. And yes, the challenges are they are tough, and it's a difficult situation. Especially this next budget is going to be a big challenge for the federal government. How they're going to cut their expenses, and at the same time, People's Party is going to keep them in check. They won't be allowed to do much downsizing. So of course, it's going to be a very difficult situation. But considering the scenario, I think the space that People's Party has given Shehbaz Sharif, this is the best possible scenario for him. Now it's up to him to deliver, and I'm very optimistic.
What about the challenge of the cabinet then, in terms of the key important positions that have to be decided? What team do you think the PMLN will put together?
See, the PMLN does have a very, they have a lot of experienced politicians who have been in governments before. So I don't think a team has ever been a problem for PMLN. And I think, and like the way you were saying earlier, the finance minister was doing a very good job, and I think she should continue. But even if she does not, even Sagdar, he's in past whatever promises he made. As if you remember, once there were some politicians who said that if he brings dollar back to 97, they're gonna quit politics. Well, that didn't happen, but he did manage to achieve that. So, and especially Nawaz Sharif guiding the whole government and the whole situation, and his relationships with the neighboring countries is definitely going to help.
Yeah, Daniyal Saab, obviously if we look at the slogans of PMLN during the campaign of the election, we were of the view that, of course, Mian Mohammad Nawaz Sharif would be coming back with his own policies to obviously run Pakistan and to bring Pakistan on the track where obviously we know that previously in his 3 terms as Prime Minister of Pakistan, he had his own policies. Can we say that now when he is not in the picture, but of course his policies would be borrowed from him by his younger brother and put Pakistan back on track?
Sir, absolutely. And as far as the House of Sharif is concerned, the one thing that I can tell you without a reasonable doubt is that the respect of elders, and especially Nawaz Sharif, not just within the party ranks but within the family ranks, he will definitely be playing a very vibrant role in advising both his daughter and brother in the day-to-day affairs of running the government. And since he also has experience of running Punjab, and he was a very successful Chief Minister of Punjab, even today, the old politicians who work with him, they still remember his days as CM Punjab. So for both for his sister, for his daughter and his brother, he's definitely going to be guiding them both, and he's going to be playing a role in Punjab and in the center as well.
And in that context, when it comes to Punjab, of course, the niece would be taking advice from Uncle Prime Minister?
Well, you see, in the past, there was this one, after listening to the question you asked, I just recall this one incident when Nawaz Sharif himself told he told Maryam that you should learn from Hamza. So within the family ranks, I don't think there's any, definitely they'll be on the same page and they will be taking advice from each other. And especially as far as the government role is concerned, the federal government has a great role in the smooth functioning of the provinces, and definitely they're gonna have a very good working relationship.
And she has said so actually today, that she is going to follow the example of uncle and father.
Daniyal, also with regards to what media reports internationally and otherwise have also been talking about, and of course political parties such as the PTI and JUF have been talking about, there is also still the concern of rigging in the elections in the background. While we talk about government formation, these parties are also enhancing their own narrative that the mandate has been stolen. The PTI put up mandate thieves after the presser by these coalition partners on X, and so we want to understand then what in your view is the current gravity of the situation with regards to the accusations of rigging in the elections, and then how does it factor in terms of the way things are moving forward and the role that political parties such as the PTI and JUF will be playing in the parliament?
So before coming to the other political parties, I do feel that the senior element of PTI or Sunni Tariq, whatever we should call it, I think they have realized that ultimately the decisions will they have to plead their cases before the courts. And for those candidates who do have strong evidences, they'll definitely be able to plead their cases and get some sort of relief. But in most cases, I just feel that it's more of just a political cry, whenever, unfortunately in Pakistan, we don't accept defeat with grace. And when a candidate loses, to keep the workers motivated, he says, oh, I've done a petition, it's just a matter of a few days. And then, they start writing as this is a way to engage their workers. It's got less to do with reality. And as far as the whole setup is concerned, a lot of these candidates, the reason why they were able to contest was they were given relief from the courts. So again, they're definitely going to go to the courts, and this matter it's not going to be a street issue, or I don't see any agitation in the near future.
Right.
As far as JUI is concerned, I stick to my last statement that I gave. They will probably be part of the federal government.
I'm still waiting with a bated breath.
Right, Zulfikar sir, with reference to these allegations of rigging, what will be the PPP stance after the formation of government and in the parliament? Will you be pushing for investigations into these constituencies?
Yes, definitely. We are going to, we'll be asking the particular forums to, give them the justice, the people who have been deprived of the voting, But Pakistan People's Party, despite having a lot of reservation on the election rigging, we wanted to focus on move on the system, so the system should not be derailed because of the road blocking and sittings on the roads. So we want that both the processes should move on side by side, and we will certainly be seeking justice from the particular forums.
Right.
So Qasem, would you be seeking justice in Multan district as well?
you'll very soon see that you'll get to see a by-election in that constituency.
That's excellent.
Right. Thank you very much, Zulfikar Saab, and thank you, Daniyal Sheikh, for joining us and being part of the discussion. Farrukh, with all that we have discussed and what we're seeing happening and the way that the country is moving forward with the government formation, are you hopeful in terms of what strength the parliament would hold and how the government will be able to hold its challenges? Are we in any way progressing?
Right, Sana, I don't think that I am in a position to express my opinion in terms of hope or hopelessness. Because it all depends on how politicians behave in the parliament. I think that I wanted to actually correct one thing that Faisal earlier said, that ethics demand that the party that has maximum seats forms the government. It is parliamentary democracy. It is not first past the post system. So here, whichever side actually garners more numbers is in the position to form the government. And this is exactly what is happening. So there is no ethical or moral imperative here. Having said that, I believe that all political parties have been given a mandate with something in the view, so something in the mind, right? For example, PMLN's work is cut out, and it has to prove that it can steer the country out of the crises. People's Party's role, and especially it has expanded given that they are getting presidency and another province also. That actually shows that they have a chance to stand on their own feet and revive themselves in coming days. Where does PTI fit in, or Sunni Ittihad Council actually fit in? I think that this is the series where it was broken on the night of vote of no confidence, when they were pushed into the opposition benches, and at that time they decided they are going to step out of the parliament, not stay in. So today they are getting a chance, because after that, whatever happened, actually cast some kind of question or raise questions about their stability or whether they can be trusted by the system, right? For example, for 22 years, they kept on struggling, they did not get into power. And this is why new parties don't come into power in Pakistan, because everybody is afraid that they will be unpredictable. So this time they have a chance of coming back into the system and re-earn their own confidence, right? Their own influence, and show that they can be stable. If they can do that, I am sure that in coming days, because they already have one province, they can regain the confidence of the entire political system and state of Pakistan.
Sana, one last comment from me.
After that, I'll also.
Yeah, a prediction from my side. Okay. People's Party is going to play from both sides of the wicket.
I don't think so. That is so. I think at the start also it was very clever. It actually showed that it is interested in the other side also. But by doing that, it has gained more trust by all sides. Remember, before the election, I said that People's Party and PTI can forge an alliance. And Faisal was not even ready to listen to my argument, right? So today he is arguing about it. I think that Bilawal Bhutto Zardari has shown that he is very capable. And in coming days, sky is the limit for him.
Right. Thank you, Farrukh. Thank you, Faisal, for joining us. That's all that we have from the debate, and we'll now see you tomorrow.